The grocery store's fluorescent lights flickered like a dying pulse, casting a cold glow over empty aisles. It was 11:47 p.m., and Lily Harper stood behind the register, her hands trembling from exhaustion, her sneakers worn thin from endless shifts. The air reeked of bleach, sharp against the faint sweetness of bruised apples. A single dollar nestled in her apron pocket, her bus fare, her only shield against a 3-mile walk through the city's unforgiving night. Hunger gnawed at her, but rent loomed larger, a shadow over her fragile existence. A man shuffled forward, his hoodie tattered, eyes sunken like wells drained dry. He placed a loaf of bread on the conveyor belt, his fingers fumbling with a meager pile of coins. "I'm short $1, he rasped, voice raw, shoulders curling inward as if the world had pressed him flat. The bread sat alone, a quiet cry for survival. Lily's gaze flicked to the clock, its red digits glaring. That dollar was her way home, her last defense. Yet the man's hands, clutching the bread like a lifeline, stirred a memory. Her mother, counting pennies for soup, her face etched with silent sacrifice. Lily exhaled, the weight of the moment pressing her chest. She slid the dollar across the counter, its edges soft from wear. "It's yours," she said, voice steady despite the ache. The man's eyes met hers, wide with a flicker of something, gratitude, or perhaps a deeper recognition. He nodded, gripping the bread, and vanished into the rain-soaked night. Lily stood alone, her pocket empty, a warmth spreading through her despite the cold. Unseen, the man was Ethan Caldwell, a billionaire cloaked in rags, scouring the world for a heart untouched by wealth. Her dollar had kindled a spark, binding their fates in ways she couldn't yet fathom. The night held its breath, waiting for what would unfold. Rain fell in sheets, soaking Lily's jacket as she trudged through the city's neon-lit veins. The bus was gone, her dollar with it, leaving her to face the long walk home. Her sneakers squelched against wet pavement, the cold biting her skin like 1,000 tiny teeth. The city roared, sirens wailing, headlights slicing through the dark, making her feel small, insignificant. Yet her mother's words echoed, "Kindness is a seed, Lily. It grows." The thought steadied her, even as hunger clawed her insides. Her apartment was a dim refuge, the linoleum icy under her feet. The fridge offered only pickles and a pat of butter, a stark portrait of her life. She sank onto the couch, its springs creaking, and stared at a water-stained ceiling. The stranger's face lingered, those hollow eyes, the tremor in his hands. His gratitude had felt real, a fleeting bridge in a city of strangers. Across town, Ethan Caldwell sat in a penthouse of polished stone, the bread untouched on his counter. Wealth had built his empire but left him hollow, surrounded by masks and motives. He'd wandered in disguise, testing humanity's heart, finding only greed. Lily's dollar, given without a second thought, had shattered his cynicism. Her weary face, kind despite its exhaustion, haunted him. He traced the loaf's crust, a symbol of something rare, and felt a pull he couldn't ignore. A quiet resolve took root, a plan to see her again. Morning clawed Lily awake with a screeching alarm, her body heavy from the night's trek. The grocery store smelled of stale coffee and cardboard, a familiar cage. Marla, her coworker, leaned against the register, gum snapping like gunfire. "You look wrecked," she said, eyes on her phone. Lily tied her apron, the stranger's gratitude a faint ember against her fatigue. She scanned items, soup cans, cereal boxes, each beep a reminder of her sacrifice. Mid-shift, a man approached, his suit sharp as a blade, gray eyes piercing the store's dull glow. He placed a single red rose on the belt, its petals soft as a whisper. Lily's heart stumbled, her fingers brushing the flower as she scanned it. "No charge," she said, voice catching, her mother's mantra anchoring her. "Kindness is free." He smiled, a slow warmth that shifted the air, and left without a word. Marla's gum popped. "Who's that guy?" she teased. Lily shook her head, but the rose's scent clung to her, sweet and heavy. Unseen, Ethan lingered outside, watching her through the glass. Her gesture, small but pure, deepened the spark she'd lit. He knew he'd return, drawn by a heart he hadn't dared hope for. The rose sat on her counter, a promise of secrets yet to bloom. The red rose stood defiant on Lily's counter, its petals catching the weak light of her apartment. Days blurred into a grind of barcodes and forced smiles, but the suited man's eyes lingered in her mind, sharp, knowing, like they saw past her worn apron. The stranger from the rainy night flickered in her thoughts too, their faces merging in a way that felt impossible. She pushed the thought aside, but the rose's scent, rich and fleeting, kept pulling her back. Marla caught her staring during a quiet shift. "Got a crush on Mr. Suit?" she teased, tossing a rag. Lily laughed, but her chest tightened. She was 26, scraping by, no room for mysteries. Yet she tended the rose, its water fresh, as if it held a truth she couldn't name. At work, she scanned items with mechanical precision, but her eyes darted to the door, half expecting the man to return. In a skyscraper across the city, Ethan sat in his office, the skyline a glittering reminder of his empire. Success had left him empty, surrounded by false faces. Lily's dollar had been a beacon, the rose a test of her heart. Her employee file, Lily Harper, cashier, no family, lay open on his desk, a violation he justified as curiosity. He sent a grocery bag to her door, bread, cheese, a note in red ink, "For your kindness." Lily found it that night, her pulse quickening as she unpacked the food. The gesture warmed her, but it felt like a spotlight on her unseen life. Someone was watching, and the truth was closing in. The grocery bag haunted Lily, its contents a quiet gift she didn't fully trust. She ate the bread, the cheese, each bite laced with unease. More gifts followed. A coffee left at her register, steam curling like a secret. A red scarf draped over her break room chair, soft as a caress. Each came with a note, the same elegant red ink. "You're seen." The words stirred her, a mix of comfort and exposure, like a hand brushing her soul. Nights grew restless, the rose's scent weaving through her dreams. She'd always been invisible, a cashier, a shadow in the city's rush. Now someone saw her, their gaze piercing her quiet life. She watched customers closely, searching for the suited man, but he stayed away. Instead, she glimpsed the drifter outside, his hoodie low, eyes catching hers before he melted into the dusk. Ethan's penthouse glowed with city lights, but his heart was dim. Lily's file consumed him, her lost dreams, her mother's illness, her quiet strength. He saw his own past in her, a kid fighting to rise. The gifts were his bridge, a way to reach her without his wealth's weight. But each note he wrote tightened a knot in his chest, a fear she'd see a stranger, not a man yearning for connection. The gifts grew bolder, and Lily's world felt smaller, watched. Lily carried the notes in her apron, their red ink a puzzle she couldn't solve. The store's hum felt oppressive, the fluorescent lights flickering like a warning. Marla noticed her unease, her gum pausing. "You're jumpy, Lil," she said, leaning close. Lily nodded, but the weight of being seen pressed against her. The gifts were kind, but they felt like a map to an unknown destination. Closing alone one night, she found a velvet box on the counter. Inside, a silver locket gleamed, a tiny rose etched into its surface. The note read, "For a heart that gives." Her breath caught. This was no simple gift. It was intimate, a piece of someone's soul. She clasped the locket around her neck, its weight cool and heavy, but her hands shook. Who knew her this deeply? The empty store held no answers, only shadows. Ethan watched from his car, heart pounding. The locket was his mother's, a relic of love untainted by wealth. Giving it to Lily was a confession, a leap he couldn't retract. Her face, lit by the store's glow, held wonder and fear, and he wondered if he'd pushed too far. Then she saw the drifter in the parking lot, his eyes locking with hers, and her pulse raced, mistaking him for the gift giver. The locket promised truth, but its weight hinted at danger. The locket rested against Lily's chest, its rose engraving a steady pulse in her quiet moments. She locked her apartment door twice, her steps quick on walks to work. The gifts continued: poetry books, gloves, each with a red-inked note. "You're enough." The words warmed her, but suspicion coiled tighter. The drifter's eyes haunted her, their intensity too familiar, too close to the suited man's gaze. She confided in Marla, showing the locket. "Someone's leaving these," she said, voice low. Marla's eyes widened. "That's heavy, Lil. You gotta find out who." They checked security footage, but the drifter's moments were static, a glitch in the tape. Lily's stomach twisted, her mind grappling with shadows. Was he more than he seemed? Ethan's office was a prison of glass, guilt clawing at him. He'd hired an investigator to watch Lily, claiming protection, but her fear in the footage broke him. She clutched the locket, eyes scanning the dark, and he hated himself for her unease. He resolved to confess, to shed his disguise. He wrote a letter, red ink flowing, and left it at her register. Lily found it that night, the words glowing. "A meeting at the park, midnight." Her pulse quickened, the locket heavy as she faced the unknown. The letter trembled in Lily's hands, its red ink spelling an invitation to the park. She tucked it away, her mind a storm of hope and fear. Marla caught her staring, concern creasing her face. "You're not going alone," she said, gum silent. Lily nodded, the locket's weight urging her forward. She needed the truth, whatever it cost. The park was still, wet leaves crunching underfoot, the air thick with rain's memory. The locket gleamed under moonlight, a beacon in the dark. A figure emerged, tall, sharp-jawed, gray eyes unmistakable. "I'm Ethan Caldwell," he said, voice steady but raw. He confessed his disguise, his wealth, the gifts, the locket. His mother's, given in trust. Lily's heart reeled. A billionaire had tested her, used her kindness. Yet his eyes held a sincerity that softened her anger. "You played me," she said, voice shaking. Ethan stepped closer, his cologne sharp in the night air. "I saw you," he said. "Your heart, your truth." The locket burned against her skin, a symbol of his confession, but trust was a fragile thread. Marla found a new note the next day. "She knows." The words felt like a warning, not a promise. Ethan's confession lingered, a fragile bridge over doubt. Lily touched the locket, its rose catching moonlight, grounding her as she processed his words. He'd been the drifter, the suited man, searching for a heart unswayed by wealth. His vulnerability stirred her, but betrayal stung, sharp and cold. "I need time," she said, stepping back, the park's silence swallowing her voice. Ethan nodded, his face torn between hope and fear. He'd bared his soul, but her trust was a prize unearned. They parted under the stars, the locket a silent vow. Lily walked home, the city's pulse louder than her own, her mind caught between his sincerity and his deception. At the store, Marla handed her a new note, red ink stark, "More to come." Lily's heart sank. Ethan had promised truth, but this wasn't his hand. Someone else watched, their gaze colder, sharper. The locket's weight anchored her, but the shadow of another's intent loomed larger. The truth was unraveling, and it wasn't Ethan's alone. Ethan became a quiet constant, visiting the store with coffee, sharing stories of his scrappy youth. His voice softened with each tale, the locket a bridge between them. But unsigned notes persisted, their red ink a splinter in Lily's trust. "He lies." One read, left on the register. Her fingers traced the locket's rose, doubt creeping in. Was his heart true? Ethan shared his plan, to donate his fortune, to start anew with her. The sacrifice stunned her, a billionaire shedding everything for love. But the notes gnawed, their warnings sharp. She confronted him in the park, rain falling softly, the locket cold against her skin. "Are you hiding more?" she asked, voice steady. Ethan's face crumpled, admitting the investigator, a desperate act to protect her. His tears softened her, their hands brushing under the wet trees. Lily chose trust, fragile but real, the locket glowing as their bond deepened. But the note's shadow lingered, a threat unseen. A storm was rising closer than they knew. Lily's trust grew, but the notes persisted. She enlisted a friend to trace them, uncovering Ethan's ex-employee, bitter over his charity plans. The truth eased her fears, but danger loomed. The ex planned sabotage, a strike at Ethan's announcement. Lily warned him, her voice urgent, the locket steady as they braced for impact. At Ethan's office, the ex confronted them, rage blazing under harsh lights. He lunged, blade flashing, and Lily stepped between them, her arm catching a shallow cut. Ethan subdued him, strength fueled by fear for her. Police arrived, lights flashing, and Lily clutched her bleeding arm, the locket stained red. Ethan held her, gratitude fierce in his eyes, their bond sealed in her sacrifice. The ex was arrested, but the cost lingered, her blood, his guilt. The locket, marked, stood as a testament to their survival, but the notes hinted at more. Their love had been tested, but the fight wasn't over. Ethan's announcement succeeded, his wealth given away, leaving him free but exposed. He and Lily moved into a modest home, the locket a reminder of their journey. But peace was fleeting. A new note arrived. This isn't over. Fear crept back, a shadow in their quiet nights. One evening, fire erupted, flames roaring with a red glow. Ethan pulled Lily to safety, the locket singed but whole. They lost everything, but their love held firm. In the ashes, Ethan proposed, the locket his ring, its rose glowing under a red sunset. Lily accepted, tears mixing with soot, their bond forged in loss. Their story spread, a tale of love and sacrifice, inspiring thousands. The final note, found in the ruins, promised more, but they faced it together, the locket their anchor. Their love, tested by fire, stood unyielding, a beacon in the dark. They had survived, but the shadow lingered, a test yet to come. Lily and Ethan rebuilt, their home simple but warm, red roses lining the path like guardians. The ex's trial ended, his threats silenced, and the notes ceased, leaving a fragile peace. Ethan's charity flourished, his purpose reborn, while Lily taught, her story inspiring students. The locket, now a wedding band, gleamed at her neck, its rose a testament to their journey. Friends filled their home, Marla's laughter a bright thread. Ethan's eyes, once guarded, shone with love, and Lily felt seen, her heart full. A final letter arrived, red ink faded. You've won. The words felt like closure, the sender unknown but irrelevant. The locket's weight grounded them, their bond a quiet triumph over the past. Their love had endured, a flame that no storm could extinguish. Their story swept social media, a viral tale of love and sacrifice. Fans sent letters, shared admiration, wore locket replicas with red roses. Lily and Ethan used the spotlight to fund charities, turning fame into purpose. One evening, a young girl offered them a red rose, her shy smile echoing their past. They accepted it, a circle complete, vowing to lift others as they'd been lifted. The city bloomed with their impact, red roses appearing in parks, streets, lives. A blank note arrived, sealed in red wax, but Lily set it aside, her heart steady. The locket gleamed, a promise of resilience. Their story wasn't just theirs. It was a spark, igniting kindness across the world. Their love had changed everything, and it wasn't done. Lily and Ethan stood on their porch, the locket's rose catching starlight. They'd faced deception, fire, and loss, emerging stronger, their love a fortress. The blank note lay inside, a mystery they let fade, trusting their bond. Red roses bloomed in their garden, unplanted, a miracle mirroring their journey. The world watched, sharing their story, spreading hope with every like, every rose. Ethan took her hand, his voice soft. "This is ours," he said, and Lily nodded, the locket's weight a vow. They kissed, petals drifting around them, the night a canvas of peace. Their love had sparked a movement, red roses blooming worldwide, a symbol of kindness reborn. As they turned inside, a final rose unfurled under moonlight, its petals a radiant promise. Their story closed, but its light burned on, eternal.